reassured myself that it was merely a passing thought, a whimsical illusion, a fleeting trick of perception. Yet, as the days unfolded, I found myself increasingly aware of his presence. His presence in the house, the way he moved, the way he looked at me when he thought I wasn't paying attention, painted a vivid picture that lingered in the air. It was a whisper in the air, a quiet truth that lingered just beneath the surface, yet impossible to ignore, and worse, I found myself unable to resist the pull of the past. It began with the tiniest of details. He stayed in the kitchen while I brewed the coffee, the way he casually leaned against the counter, his gaze fixed on me with an intensity that sent shivers down my spine. His silence spoke volumes, a powerful presence that echoed far beyond mere words. One afternoon, my husband called from the office, signaling yet another late night ahead. Though I ought to have grown accustomed to it by now, the weight of disappointment still nestled in my chest. I hung up, exhaling slowly, urging myself to move beyond the void left in the wake of his absence. "You appear quite unfazed," his voice caught me off guard. I glanced back to see him framed in the doorway, arms crossed, a knowing glint dancing in his eyes. "I am not," I confessed. "Priority lies with work above all else." He regarded me for a moment. Then a sly grin crept across his face. What a pity. There was a certain quality in his words that struck me like a bolt of lightning. It wasn't sympathy, it was something deeper, something perilous lurking beneath the surface. "Text, I urged you to reconsider your words," maintaining a calm demeanor as I spoke. "What do you mean?" He moved in, his eyes fixed and unwavering. "It seems I have a knack for observing details." I swallowed hard, my resolve wavering as I fought against the pull of those eyes, yet I remained anchored, unable to look away. I was unable to. He had an undeniable allure, a force that drew me closer even as every caution echoed loudly in my mind. "This is no joke." His smirk grew more pronounced. "Who claimed I was merely jesting?" I averted my gaze, clutching the edge of the counter tightly. I had to put a stop to this before it even began, before a fleeting moment transformed into something neither of us could undo. "You should definitely head out tonight," I suggested, striving to keep my tone light and easy. "Gather with your companions, enjoy the adventure. Right here, I'm immersed in joy." My breath was momentarily suspended. He was serious about his intentions. He was prodding, probing, biding his time to discover whether I would resist or surrender to the depths. I released a gentle breath. "Shall we embark on a journey?" A moment of stillness, followed by a soft laugh. At last, he spoke. But there was a weight to his words that hinted at something more. I turned, and for the first time, his expression held a weight of seriousness. His gaze met mine, steady and resolute. "I believe I shall continue on this path." Anger should have coursed through me. I ought to have urged him to depart, to cast aside the tangled notions that had taken hold in his mind. Yet, I remained rooted in place, my heart racing, my body revealing a warmth I was reluctant to acknowledge. And the most troubling aspect, I never imagined I would want to halt this journey, not for a moment. For days, I kept my distance from him. It was the sole decision that made sense. I kept myself occupied, weaving through a tapestry of errands and engaging in trivial exchanges with my husband. Anything to divert attention from the response my body had shown to him. Yet, evasion proved insufficient. It was never meant to be. As the sun dipped below the horizon, I ventured outside, seeking the embrace of the cool evening breeze to untangle the web of my thoughts. Yet, there he stood, bare-chested once more, honing his craft under the soft shimmer of the backyard lights. I ought to have retraced my steps, returned to the safety of the indoors. Yet my feet remained stubbornly planted in place. My breath caught in my throat as I observed the way his muscles coiled with each movement, the effortless strength radiating from his being. He was aware of my gaze upon him. I noticed it in the way he eased into the moment, in the way he extended his arms, rolling his shoulders as if he were preparing for an audience. As he pivoted to meet my gaze, beads of sweat cascading down his chest, that familiar smirk reappeared. "You don't have to hide," he said, reaching for a towel with a knowing smile. I drew in a breath, my head shaking in disbelief. I was merely taking a moment to observe. He advanced a step nearer, effortlessly bridging the gap. "Indeed not. So, what compels you to keep moving forward?" My stomach knotted with tension. "This is not a game. It was never stated as such." His voice flowed with a calm rhythm, each word carefully chosen. "Yet, I believe you are deceiving your own heart." I ought to have turned back, to have closed the chapter before it spiraled into something greater. Yet, a part of me held steadfast, unwilling to yield. Perhaps it was the solitude. Perhaps it was the way he gazed upon me. I existed as more than just a spouse, more than a mere shadow in a seemingly flawless home. "Halt," I murmured. It was not a request. It was a heartfelt request. Yet, he pressed on. As he extended his hand toward me, his fingers lightly grazed mine, igniting a spark that surged through my arm. My breath caught in my throat. I ought to have stepped back. There were countless paths I could have taken. You sense it as well, he whispered. I took a deep breath. Every part of me cried out that this was wrong. Yet the way his touch lingered whispered that it was already too late. A sudden clap of thunder shattered the stillness of the moment. As the sky deepened into shadows, the initial drops of rain began to dance upon the earth's surface. I took a step back, my heart racing wildly. This can't happen, I declared, the words escaping my lips with a sense of urgency. He chose silence. He had no reason to. The gaze he cast spoke volumes. It had already come to pass. I turned and stepped inside, my hands quivering as I gently shut the door behind me. The rain lashed at the windows, a fierce echo of the tempest brewing within my soul. I pressed my fingers against my lips, where the memory of his touch still lingered like a whisper in the air. In that moment, I felt a surge of frustration, a desire to place the weight of the situation squarely on his shoulders. For the act of pushing, for stirring emotions within me that I had no claim to experience, yet, beneath the surface, I was aware of the reality. I was the one who had been observing from the very beginning. Sleep eluded me that night. Each time I shut my eyes, his touch lingered, his voice echoed in my mind. And I could see the way he gazed at me, as if he held the key to all my hidden truths. I convinced myself it was all a figment of my imagination, that the rain and the palpable tension had woven a tapestry of intensity far beyond reality. Yet, as dawn broke and I descended the stairs, he was already present, patiently awaiting my arrival. He remained silent at first, simply observing me as I poured my coffee. His gaze lingered, thick with anticipation. The air was heavy with tension, stretching taut between us, almost palpable and suffocating. My hands quivered ever so slightly as I raised the cup to my lips, and I loathed the fact that he caught on to it. He finally spoke, his voice a low whisper. You didn't run this time. I took a deep breath. There's nothing to escape from. A gradual, knowing smile. Are you certain of that? I felt the urge to bring it all to a close, to put a stop to this perilous game once and for all. Yet, in that moment, he shifted, just slightly, allowing his hand to skim my waist as he extended toward the coffee pot. It was a delicate brush, the sort that might have been mere coincidence. Alas, it was not. I sensed it all around me. Heat surged within me, an undeniable response that I could not contain. I had to escape that place, to create a space between us before I acted on an impulse I might regret. Yet, just as I was about to retreat, he drew near, so close that I could sense the warmth of his breath brushing against my skin. You keep insisting this can't happen, he murmured, yet you never say you don't want it to. In that moment, I ought to have refused, to have turned my back and walked away into the shadows. Yet, I chose not to. I stood there, heart racing, anticipating something, anything, to shatter the stillness of the moment. And then it came to pass. A sudden crash of thunder shook the very foundations of the windows. The power waned, casting the room into a soft, shadowy glow. The tempest that had raged the night prior had come back, more ferocious, more wrathful, and thus, he had. His fingers curled around my wrist, a quiet inquiry lingering in the air. I remained steadfast. My breath caught as he drew me nearer, his hold steady yet gentle. He offered me a choice, a final opportunity to halt this before the point of no return arrived. In that fleeting moment, as his lips brushed against mine, I understood that all the justifications would vanish and the facade would crumble away. This would be genuine. And yet, when his lips met mine, gentle at first, then more fervent, I found myself not wanting to pull away. I leaned in, I allowed it to unfold. The aroma of coffee hung in the air, a warm and intoxicating embrace that connected us in that moment. His hands discovered my waist, drawing me close to him, and I surrendered to the warmth of his body, embracing the moment I had spent countless nights attempting to evade. I felt no concern for the fact that it was deemed wrong. I felt no concern as we ventured across a boundary that was forever sealed behind us. All that mattered to me was the realization that, for the first time in years, I truly felt alive. The affair ought to have been perceived as a misstep. I ought to have risen from slumber engulfed in a tide of guilt, overwhelmed by the weight of regret. Yet, I chose not to. I rose with a yearning for something greater. Each glance, each touch, each stolen moment in the hushed corners of our home wove a tapestry of secrets that intertwined our souls. He swept me away, erasing the essence of my being, causing me to lose sight of the life I had painstakingly built over the years. With him, I was not merely a neglected wife or a woman fading into the background of her own marriage. I was transformed, experiencing a sensation long forgotten, a deep yearning, a longing, a vibrant pulse of life within me. Yet secrets have a way of surfacing, no matter how deep they are hidden. It began with a whisper. My husband started to observe subtle changes, a transformation in my mood. The way I appeared lost in thought. He was not one to ponder deeply. too engrossed in his own realm to notice the world around him. Yet, on a certain evening, he returned home sooner than usual. I was taken by surprise by his arrival, nor had my stepson died in the heart of the kitchen. I felt a rush of adrenaline as the door creaked open. My heart raced, pounding against my ribs as I turned to find my husband standing there, his gaze fixed on me. His expression held a certain uniqueness, an enigmatic quality that defied understanding. "Where is he?" he inquired, his voice betraying an unsettling calmness. I took a deep breath, steeling myself to maintain my poise. "Who?" His jaw tightened. "You're aware of the one in question." A sense of dread gripped my throat. I cast my gaze toward the hallway where just moments before my stepson had lingered, his presence still echoing, leaving a whisper of warmth upon my skin. I hoped he possessed the wisdom to remain concealed. My husband moved in closer, his gaze sweeping over my face as if he were on a quest to uncover a hidden truth. A response, a fabrication. The essence of reality. "You've changed," he remarked, his voice softer now, almost reflective, far away. I let out a chuckle, shaking my head in disbelief. "What you're envisioning is merely a figment of your imagination." His eyes deepened into shadows. Am I? A profound silence lingered in the air, thick with the weight of unvoiced grievances. In that instant, I understood that he required no evidence. The pieces were already falling into place for him. He simply sought my affirmation. The atmosphere in the room was thick, almost stifling. My heartbeat throbbed in my ears, and then, just when I believed I could maintain my composure, he stepped back, releasing a sharp breath as if the burden of understanding had finally found its place upon his heart. "I don't need to hear it," he murmured, shaking his head with a hint of finality. "I am already aware." The weight of his words wrapped around me, sending a chill coursing through my veins. He turned and walked away, leaving behind a void filled only with silence. I found myself anchored to the counter, fingers clutching its edge, breath faltering, heart pounding with anticipation. Relief should have washed over me, knowing he hadn't pressed for the truth, that he hadn't compelled me to utter those words aloud. As the front door slammed shut, a heavy silence enveloped me, and I was left to grapple with the profound sense of loss that hung in the air.